The camera left on the cliff edge was still recording when rescue teams found it 3 days later. Its final frames showed Elsa Björnsdottir's laugh freezing mid-sound as she pointed toward the Westfjords' jagged coastline, her husband Magnus beside her, both silhouettes against Iceland's most remote wilderness. Then nothing, just the wind's hollow whistle through volcanic rocks and the endless crash of North Atlantic waves 400 meters below. Their backpacks sat untouched nearby, lunch still wrapped inside, car keys glinting in weak Arctic sunlight. The couple had simply vanished into the vast, unforgiving landscape where civilization ends and Iceland's ancient geological forces reign supreme. No footprints led away from the site. No disturbance marked the pristine tundra grass. No emergency beacon had been triggered. They had existed one moment, and in the next become part of the eternal Nordic silence that haunts these remote badlands. But what really happened in these brutal, isolated Westfjords, where towering cliffs drop into icy waters and weather can turn deadly in minutes, remains a secret that even Iceland's most advanced search and rescue teams, with all their Nordic efficiency and cutting-edge technology, were unable to uncover, and which, until today, assombra o silencio eterno dessas terras. Elsa and Magnus Björnsdottir embodied everything beautiful about modern Icelandic life. Married for 7 years, they were both geologists who had met at the University of Iceland while studying the country's unique volcanic formations. Their love story was inseparable from their passion for Iceland's raw, elemental landscape. They had proposed at Geysir during the midnight sun, honeymooned camping under the northern lights in Jökulsárlón, and spent every summer exploring the country's most remote corners with the methodical enthusiasm that defines Nordic outdoor culture. Living in a cozy apartment in Reykjavik's old town, they represented the perfect blend of urban sophistication and deep wilderness connection that characterizes Scandinavian society. Elsa, 32, worked for the Icelandic Met Office monitoring seismic activity across the mid-Atlantic ridge, while Magnus, 35, consulted for geothermal energy companies developing sustainable power systems. Their colleagues described them as inseparable, always planning their next adventure, always carrying geology hammers and professional cameras, always excited to discover some new corner of their island home that most tourists never see. The sea, Westfjords had called to them for years. Iceland's most isolated region, jutting into the Denmark Strait like a gnarled finger pointing toward Greenland, represents everything wild and untamed about Nordic geography. Here mountains rise directly from the sea like ancient sentinels, creating a landscape so dramatic it seems almost fictional. Ancient lava flows have carved fjords deeper than imagination, while Arctic winds sculpt weather patterns that can shift from calm to catastrophic within minutes, making this region simultaneously beautiful and deadly. For Elsa and Magnus, the Westfjords represented the ultimate geological adventure. They had studied satellite images for months, planned their route with typical Scandinavian precision, and even consulted with local search and rescue teams about safety protocols and emergency procedures. Their plan was elegantly simple. Spend 4 days documenting unique rock formations along the Latrabjarg cliffs, Europe's westernmost point and home to millions of seabirds whose colonies create one of the world's most spectacular wildlife displays. They had told friends this trip would be their masterpiece, a comprehensive geological survey that could contribute to academic research about Iceland's formation during the last ice age. Their enthusiasm was infectious, their preparation meticulous down to backup equipment and emergency supplies, their experience undeniable after years of challenging expeditions. In a country where outdoor expertise is practically part of the national identity, and where children learn wilderness survival alongside arithmetic, Elsa and Magnus were considered among the most capable and respected adventurers. However, behind the peaceful facade of life in the Nordic wilderness, there were details that no one had noticed, details that would become crucial to understanding how two experienced geologists could simply vanish in one of the world's most organized and safety-conscious societies. Odds had called to them for years. Iceland's most isolated region, jutting into the Denmark Strait like a gnarled finger, represents everything wild about Nordic geography. Here, Mountains rise directly from the sea, creating a landscape so dramatic it seems almost fictional. Ancient lava flows have carved fjords deeper than imagination, while Arctic winds sculpt weather patterns that can shift from calm to catastrophic within hours. For Elsa and Magnus, the Westfjords represented the ultimate geological adventure. They had studied satellite images, planned their route with typical Scandinavian precision, and even consulted with local search and rescue teams about safety protocols. Their plan was simple: spend 4 days documenting unique rock formations along the Latrebjerg Cliffs, Europe's westernmost point and home to millions of seabirds. They had told friends this trip would be their masterpiece, a comprehensive geological survey that could contribute to academic research about Iceland's formation. Their enthusiasm was infectious, their preparation meticulous, their experience undeniable. In a country where outdoor expertise is practically part of the national identity, Elsa and Magnus were considered among the most capable. However, behind the peaceful facade of life in the Nordic wilderness, there were details that no one had noticed. Details that would become crucial to understanding how two experienced geologists could simply vanish in one of the world's most organized and safety-conscious societies. When Elsa and Magnus failed to return to their Reykjavik home on Sunday evening, their absence triggered Iceland's legendary search and rescue mobilization. In true Nordic fashion, the response was immediate, methodical, and overwhelming. By Monday morning, Slysavarnafélagið, Iceland's volunteer-based rescue association, had deployed teams across the Westfjords with military precision. The efficiency was breathtaking. Within hours, rescue coordinators had traced the couple's movements. Through credit card transactions, security cameras, and witness accounts, they had stayed at a guest house in Ísafjörður, purchased supplies at a local market, and spoken with a park ranger about cliff conditions. Everything seemed normal, planned, safe. Iceland's unique geography demanded specialized search techniques. Helicopter crews familiar with the Westfjords' treacherous wind patterns began systematic aerial sweeps, while experienced climbers rappelled down cliff faces that had claimed lives before. The Coast Guard deployed vessels to scan the waters below Latrebjerg, knowing that many victims of cliff accidents are eventually claimed by the North Atlantic's unforgiving currents. The discovery of their abandoned campsite sent shockwaves through the rescue operation. Everything was exactly as it should be. Tent properly secured against Arctic winds, equipment organized with Germanic precision, food sealed against the region's notorious bird populations. Most unsettling was the camera, still filming, its battery somehow lasting through 3 days of Westfjords weather. Local communities rallied with the collective spirit that defines Nordic society. Farmers drove ATVs across tundra, fishermen volunteered boats, and even children helped distribute supplies to rescue teams. In villages where everyone knows everyone, the disappearance of 2 young geologists felt personal, tragic, incomprehensible. Advanced technology joined traditional search methods. Thermal imaging drones mapped heat signatures across thousands of acres, while sonar equipment scanned fjord depths that hadn't been properly surveyed since Danish colonial times. GPS tracking attempted to trace any possible route the couple might have taken beyond their planned path. Weather complicated everything. The Westfjords experienced some of Europe's most volatile conditions, where Arctic systems collide with North Atlantic currents to create localized storms that can appear without warning. Rescue teams faced wind gusts exceeding 100 kilometers per hour, visibility reduced to mere meters, and temperature drops that made extended searches dangerous even for professionals. If you're interested in mysteries involving disappearances in Nordic landscapes, leave a like to help us continue bringing these unique stories from Scandinavia, because what we discovered about those first critical hours would reveal how even the most efficient systems can fail when confronted with the vastness of Nordic wilderness. As rescue operations extended into the second week, investigators began developing theories that reflected the unique challenges of the Westfjords environment. Iceland's landscape operates by different rules, where volcanic activity, extreme weather, and geological instability create scenarios impossible in most other parts of the world. The primary theory focused on the cliffs themselves. Latrebjerg rises over 400 meters above the North Atlantic, with rock faces that have been carved by millennia of Arctic storms. Geologists confirmed that recent seismic activity, minor earthquakes common to Iceland's position on the mid-Atlantic ridge, could have destabilized cliff sections. Perhaps Elsa and Magnus had been in the wrong place when tons of volcanic rock decided to obey gravity's call. But this theory encountered immediate problems. No fresh rockfall was visible from helicopter surveys, and the couple's abandoned equipment showed no signs of panic or sudden movement. Their camera's final frames revealed calm weather, stable ground, and two people enjoying what appeared to be a perfect Nordic summer day. A second theory emerged around the Westfjords' notorious weather patterns. Arctic systems moving south from Greenland can create sudden, localized storms that trap even experienced outdoor enthusiasts. Hypothermia can set in within hours when temperatures drop and wind speeds accelerate. Perhaps the couple had been caught in a weather system that local meteorological stations hadn't detected. Investigation into weather records revealed unsettling gaps. The Westfjords' remoteness means that weather monitoring relies on scattered, automated stations and occasional reports from fishing vessels. Large areas experience what meteorologists call data shadows, zones where weather can turn deadly without any official record of the change. The search expanded to consider Iceland's unique geological features. Lava tube systems, created by ancient volcanic activity, honeycomb much of the country's subsurface. Some tubes remain unexplored, creating underground networks that could theoretically swallow people without trace. Geologists mapped known cave systems, but found no evidence of recent human entry. Cultural factors added complexity. Icelanders maintain an almost mystical relationship with their landscape, viewing certain areas as possessing inherent danger or significance. Local folklore spoke of the Westfjords as a place where people had vanished throughout history, stories that rescue coordinators initially dismissed but eventually began documenting systematically. The couple's expertise became both asset and liability for investigators. As trained geologists, Elsa and Magnus would have recognized dangerous conditions and possessed survival skills superior to typical tourists. But their knowledge might also have led them into situations that seemed safe to professionals but contained hidden Nordic-specific risks. Psychological profiling revealed no indicators of intentional disappearance. Bank accounts remained untouched. Social media showed excited anticipation for the trip, and family interviews painted a picture of two people deeply in love with each other and their homeland. They had everything to live for and extensive experience in Iceland's challenging environments. But as the investigation advanced through the unforgiving landscapes of the north, each new piece of evidence only deepened the mystery, confronting investigators with the reality that Nordic nature guards its secrets with ruthless efficiency and sometimes claims people in ways that defy rational explanation. 3 weeks into the investigation, theories began reflecting the unique intersection of Nordic geography, culture, and technology. Each possibility revealed how the Westfjords' extreme environment could challenge even Iceland's renowned safety, systems, and outdoor expertise. The seismic shift theory gained credibility as geologists examined recent earthquake data. Iceland sits atop one of the world's most active volcanic zones, where the Eurasian and North American tectonic plates literally pull apart. Micro-earthquakes occur daily, most too small for human detection, but potentially large enough to trigger landslides or alter cliff stability. Perhaps Elsa and Magnus had witnessed or been caught in a geological event that official monitoring equipment had missed. Investigators discovered that Latrebjerg's rock faces contained layers of loose, volcanic debris that could shift unexpectedly. Unlike the stable granite cliffs found elsewhere in Scandinavia, Iceland's volcanic geology creates inherently unstable conditions where centuries-old lava flows can suddenly collapse into the sea below. A competing weather phenomenon theory focused on the Westfjords' position as a collision zone between Arctic and Atlantic weather systems. Computer modeling revealed that localized storms could form within hours, creating wind shear patterns capable of knocking people off cliffs or generating sudden temperature drops that induce hypothermia faster than victims can react. The investigation uncovered historical weather events unique to this region. Ice storms, where supercooled droplets instantly freeze on contact, creating conditions so dangerous that even birds avoid flying. Such storms often leave no meteorological trace once they pass, making them nearly impossible to document or predict. Marine current analysis introduced another Nordic-specific factor. The Denmark Strait current system creates underwater conditions, so turbulent that bodies or debris entering the water are carried away within hours, often pulled into deep Atlantic currents that could transport evidence thousands of kilometers from the original site. Local fishing crews provided testimony about the sea's behavior around Latrebjerg. They described tide patterns that could change cliff face accessibility within minutes, underwater caves that fill and drain with tidal cycles, and sudden fog banks that reduce visibility to zero. In their experience, the ocean around the Westfjords operated by its own rules. Cultural investigation revealed the region's history of unexplained disappearances. Archives contained reports dating back centuries of people vanishing near Latrebjerg, hunters, fishermen, even early tourists. While most cases had obvious explanations related to primitive safety equipment, some shared disturbing similarities with Elsa and Magnus's situation. Experienced individuals who simply vanished during calm conditions. Psychological analysis focused on summit fever, the phenomenon where outdoor enthusiasts push beyond safe limits to achieve goals. Perhaps the couple had spotted a particularly interesting geological formation and decided to access it, despite recognizing the risks. Their expertise might have made them overconfident about their ability to handle unexpected Nordic conditions. Technology offered new possibilities for explanation. GPS analysis of their route revealed several points where satellite coverage was interrupted by cliff faces or atmospheric conditions. In areas where even modern navigation fails, experienced hikers might rely on traditional wayfinding methods that could prove inadequate in suddenly changing conditions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to not miss our next mysteries from Nordic lands, because what happened next would challenge all expectations about disappearances in one of the world's safest and most organized regions. 10 years after Elsa and Magnus Bjørnsdottir vanished into the Westfjords wilderness, AEAE, routine satellite imaging survey, would shatter every theory investigators had constructed about their disappearance. What space-based technology revealed challenged fundamental assumptions about the case and exposed secrets hidden in Iceland's most remote landscape. The discovery happened almost by accident. Dr. Sarah Chen, a geologist working for the European Space Agency, was analyzing high-resolution satellite imagery as part of a climate change study documenting glacial retreat across the Nordic region. Her focus was on measuring ice loss in the Westfjords when she noticed something that shouldn't exist: geometric patterns visible beneath what had been assumed to be solid rock. Using advanced spectral analysis technology that hadn't existed, during the original search, Chen identified subsurface structures that previous surveys had missed. The patterns suggested hollow spaces, chambers or tunnels beneath the Latrebjerg cliff system. More intriguingly, thermal imaging revealed temperature variations that indicated air movement within these hidden spaces. Chen's discovery triggered immediate interest from Icelandic authorities. New satellite scans using ground-penetrating radar revealed an extensive underground network. Not the simple lava tubes that geologists had previously mapped, but a complex system of interconnected chambers that extended deep beneath the cliff, face and apparently connected to the ocean below. The revelation was staggering. Beneath one of Iceland's most photographed and studied landscapes lay a hidden world that had escaped detection by decades of geological surveys. The network appeared to be a relic of ancient volcanic activity, where lava flows had created chambers and tunnels far more extensive than anyone had imagined. Most shocking was the discovery of human-made modifications within the system. Enhanced imaging revealed what appeared to be constructed walkways, widened passages, and even structural supports, evidence that people had accessed and modified these underground spaces over an extended period. The work showed signs of both historical construction and more recent activity. Investigation into historical records revealed fragmentary references to hidden passages in local folklore, stories that previous investigators had dismissed as superstition. Ancient sagas mentioned caves beneath Latrabjarg, where people could shelter from storms, and some accounts described underground routes used by smugglers during Denmark's colonial period. The satellite data indicated that one chamber system opened directly onto the area where Elsa and Magnus had been camping. Ground-penetrating radar showed what appeared to be a concealed entrance, possibly hidden by a rockfall or camouflaged by natural formations located within meters of where their equipment was found. Most disturbing was thermal imaging that revealed temperature signatures consistent with recent human activity within the underground network. The pattern suggested that people had been accessing these spaces regularly, possibly for years, without detection by surface surveillance or search operations. Advanced sonic mapping revealed that some chambers contained what appeared to be supplies, equipment, or other stored materials. The distribution pattern suggested long-term habitation or at least regular use by individuals familiar with the system's layout and access points. Analysis of tidal data revealed that certain sections of the underground network flooded during high tide cycles, creating a dynamic environment where passages could be accessible during some conditions, but deadly during others. The timing of Elsa and Magnus's disappearance coincided with a particularly extreme tidal period, and it was at this moment that the investigation took a completely unexpected turn, revealing that the Nordic landscapes hide mysteries far deeper than anyone could have imagined, and that even the most advanced search technologies can miss secrets hidden literally beneath their feet. The satellite revelations triggered the largest search operation in Westfjords history. Within 48 hours of Dr. Chen's discovery, Iceland's government deployed every available resource to investigate the underground network that had remained hidden for a decade. The response showcased Nordic efficiency and international cooperation at their most impressive. Specialized cave rescue teams arrived from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, bringing expertise in underground search operations that Iceland's rescue services lacked. Advanced spelunking equipment, normally used for deep cave systems in Norway's mountain regions, was adapted for the volcanic geology of the Westfjords. The operation represented the largest multi-Nordic emergency response since World War II. Technology that hadn't existed during the original search now became crucial. Fiber optic cameras capable of navigating tight spaces were fed into every detected opening. Atmospheric monitoring equipment tested air quality and composition within the chambers. Ground-penetrating radar mapped passages in three-dimensional detail, revealing a network far more extensive than initial satellite imaging had suggested. The scale of the hidden system was breathtaking. Passages extended over 2 kilometers beneath the cliff face, with some chambers large enough to accommodate dozens of people. The network showed evidence of both natural formation and human modification spanning possibly centuries. Some sections contained freshwater sources, others showed signs of being used for storage or temporary habitation. Weather monitoring revealed that the underground system created its own microclimate. Temperature remained constant despite surface conditions, and air circulation patterns suggested connections to the ocean that created natural ventilation. For people caught in sudden storms, these chambers could provide perfect shelter, but also perfect traps if they didn't understand tidal flooding patterns. Forensic teams discovered evidence of human presence throughout the network. Items ranging from modern camping equipment to what appeared to be much older artifacts were found in various chambers. Most shocking was the discovery of personal belongings that predated Elsa and Magnus's disappearance, suggesting that their case was part of a larger pattern of people accessing or becoming trapped within the system. Archaeological consultation revealed that the modifications showed construction techniques spanning different historical periods. Some showed medieval stonework, others appeared more recent. The implications were staggering that people had been using and expanding this underground network for possibly hundreds of years without official knowledge. Marine archaeology teams investigated the ocean connections discovering that several passages opened directly into underwater caves, accessible only during low tide. These connections explained how people or evidence could vanish completely from surface searches, carried away by currents that flowed through the underground system. Local interviews took on new significance. Stories that investigators had previously dismissed as folklore now seemed potentially factual. Elderly residents recalled family stories about hidden paths beneath the cliffs, and some admitted that smuggling operations during various historical periods had used underground routes. The psychological impact on rescue teams was intense. Discovering that a massive underground world had existed beneath their search area for a decade challenged assumptions about their competence and thoroughness. Many volunteers who had participated in the original search felt profound guilt about potentially walking over spaces where Elsa and Magnus might have been trapped. Share this video with someone fascinated by Nordic mysteries. They'll be impressed by this revelation and by what's about to be discovered about the secrets that the northern lands guard so carefully. Deep within the third chamber system, 18 meters beneath the Latrabjarg cliffs, rescue teams made a discovery that would answer some questions while raising others that might never be resolved. What they found challenged everything investigators thought they knew about the case and revealed the true scale of the hidden world beneath Iceland's most remote landscape. The chamber where they found evidence of Elsa and Magnus was unlike the others, larger with carefully constructed stone walls and what appeared to be deliberately placed ventilation shafts. It showed signs of being designed as a long-term shelter. Fresh water seeped through one wall, and the space remained warm despite the Arctic conditions above ground. Their equipment was there: backpacks, geological instruments, cameras, and notebooks, carefully arranged as if they had been setting up for an extended stay. Most importantly, Magnus's field journal contained entries spanning 5 days after their supposed disappearance, revealing that they had survived the initial incident and found refuge in the underground system. The journal entries painted a picture, both remarkable and tragic. Magnus wrote that they had discovered the chamber opening by accident when investigating what appeared to be an unusual rock formation. The entrance had been concealed by loose stones that shifted when Elsa leaned against them, revealing the passage below. Excited by the geological significance of their discovery, they had entered to explore. According to Magnus's notes, they had initially planned to spend only a few hours documenting the underground formations before returning to the surface. But a sudden storm had caused a rockfall that blocked their entrance, trapping them inside the network. Rather than panic, they had used their geological expertise to map the system and search for alternative exits. The entries revealed that they had found evidence of previous inhabitants, supplies, tools, and even carved inscriptions dating back centuries. Some chambers contained artifacts suggesting the space had been used by everyone, from medieval hermits to modern smugglers. The network appeared to be a hidden infrastructure that various groups had maintained and expanded over generations. Most heartbreaking were Magnus's final entries, which described their growing understanding that the tidal flooding patterns made escape increasingly difficult. They had located passages leading to the ocean, but realized that the tide cycles created deadly currents that made swimming to safety impossible. Each potential exit presented new challenges that required careful timing and resources they didn't possess. The journal revealed their methodical approach to survival. They had rationed their limited supplies, collected fresh water from seepage points, and even attempted to signal for help by creating noise that might carry through rock fissures to the surface. Their geological knowledge had helped them understand the system's structure, but it had also made them aware of how perfectly hidden they were from surface detection. Evidence suggested they had survived for at least 2 weeks underground. Magnus's handwriting remained steady and analytical throughout most entries, reflecting the Nordic cultural tendency toward practical problem-solving even in crisis situations. They had documented their discoveries, mapped the passages, and left detailed notes about the system's construction and geological significance. The final entries showed growing weakness and acceptance. Magnus wrote about their decision to arrange their equipment in a way that would tell their story if ever discovered. They had used their remaining camera batteries to photograph the most significant archaeological and geological findings, creating a record of both their fate and their remarkable discovery. Physical evidence supported the journal's account. Improvised sleeping areas, carefully conserved food supplies, and even attempts at tool-making from available materials showed how two trained geologists had adapted to survival in conditions unlike anything in standard emergency training. But even with all the advanced technology and Nordic search systems, with complete dedication and international cooperation, there remained unanswered questions that would echo forever through the vast Scandinavian landscapes, mysteries that the eternal northern silence would never fully reveal. The discovery of Elsa and Magnus Björnsdottir's fate sent shockwaves through Iceland's tight-knit geological community and fundamentally changed how the country approached wilderness safety and historical preservation. Their story became both tragedy and revelation, exposing secrets that had remained hidden beneath one of Europe's most studied landscapes. The underground network was immediately designated as a protected archaeological site. Teams of historians, archaeologists, and geologists began systematic documentation of what experts now call the most significant underground complex discovered in modern Nordic history. The chambers contained artifacts spanning over 500 years, revealing that various groups had used the space as shelter, storage, and hiding place throughout Iceland's tumultuous history. Their sacrifice had revealed something extraordinary. The complex showed evidence of use by medieval monks seeking religious solitude, 18th-century smugglers avoiding Danish customs authorities, and even World War II resistance activities. Each group had expanded and modified the system, creating the extensive network that had ultimately become both refuge and prison for the young couple. The impact on Iceland's search and rescue protocols was immediate and comprehensive. Ground-penetrating, radar became standard equipment for all major search operations. New training programs educated rescue teams about hidden geological features, and detailed mapping projects began documenting similar formations across the country's most remote areas. Families of other missing persons found both hope and renewed grief in the discovery. If Elsa and Magnus had survived underground for weeks, perhaps other missing individuals had found similar refuges. But the discovery also revealed how perfectly people could vanish in landscape that seemed thoroughly explored and understood. The archaeological revelations forced reconsideration of Iceland's historical narrative. Evidence found in the chambers suggested that remote areas had supported human activity far more extensively than previously believed. Some artifacts indicated trade relationships and communication networks that challenged assumptions about historical isolation in Nordic societies. The couple's fieldwork, completed under the most extraordinary circumstances, contributed significantly to understanding Westfjords geology. Their documentation of the underground formations provided crucial data about volcanic processes and long-term geological stability. In death, they had achieved the professional recognition that their research deserved. Their families established a foundation promoting geological education and wilderness safety, with particular focus on the hidden dangers that can exist even in well-mapped areas. The Foundation funds research into ground-penetrating technologies and supports international cooperation in search and rescue operations. The psychological impact on Iceland's outdoor community was profound. The revelation that experienced professionals could become trapped in hidden spaces challenged the confidence that comes from living in one of the world's safest and most organized societies. Many outdoor enthusiasts began carrying different emergency equipment and following modified safety protocols. Local communities in the Westfjords struggled with complex emotions. Pride in the historical significance of the discoveries mixed with guilt about stories and knowledge that might have been shared earlier. Some elderly residents admitted to family legends about underground passages that they had never thought to report to authorities. And so, while some answers were found in the unforgiving northern landscapes, others remain buried forever in the eternal mists and infinite silence of the Nordic lands, reminding us that even the most familiar terrain can conceal mysteries that span centuries. The case of Elsa and Magnus Björnsdottir stands as a profound reminder that even in Iceland, one of the world's most mapped, monitored, and safety-conscious societies, The relationship between humans and Nordic nature remains fundamentally unpredictable and humbling. Their disappearance revealed layers of hidden history and geography that had escaped detection by modern technology and generations of local knowledge. The couple's fate illustrates how Nordic landscapes operate by different rules than most inhabited places on Earth. Where volcanic activity, extreme weather, and geological instability intersect, even experienced professionals face risks that can't be anticipated through conventional preparation. The underground network that claimed their lives had existed for centuries, sheltering and trapping people in equal measure. Their story changed how Iceland approaches both historical preservation and emergency response. The discovery led to systematic surveys of other remote areas, revealing additional hidden formations and archaeological sites. Ground-penetrating radar is now standard equipment for search operations, and training programs emphasize the possibility of concealed geological features. Perhaps most significantly, the case highlighted the importance of traditional knowledge that exists alongside official systems. Stories dismissed as folklore proved to contain crucial factual elements, suggesting that the relationship between scientific investigation and cultural memory deserves greater respect and integration. The underground chambers continue yielding discoveries about Iceland's hidden history. Each new artifact or inscription adds depth to understanding how people have adapted to and survived in Nordic environments throughout centuries of change. The complex represents a microcosm of human resilience and the landscape's capacity to preserve secrets. The psychological impact extends beyond Iceland to the broader Nordic community. If such extensive hidden features could exist undetected in well-studied areas, what other secrets might lie beneath the familiar landscapes of Scandinavia? The case sparked new interest in historical mysteries and geological surveys across the region. For search and rescue organizations throughout the Nordic countries, Elsa and Magnus's story became a crucial case study in the limitations of surface-based detection methods and the importance of considering subsurface possibilities in missing person investigations. This case reminds us that even in the most organized and secure societies in the world, the vastness of Nordic nature continues to hold mysteries capable of humbling human confidence, making people simply vanish into landscapes that guard their secrets with the patience of geological time itself. If this story of disappearance in Nordic lands impressed you, leave a like, subscribe to Nordic Missing channel, share with those interested in Scandinavian mysteries, and activate notifications for our next cases. In the comments, tell us your theory about this underground network. We love your perspectives. What other secrets do you think lie hidden beneath Nordic landscapes? Could similar hidden systems exist in other remote areas of Scandinavia? Your insights help us explore these mysteries together. And remember, in the vast Nordic landscapes, there are always more mysteries waiting in the eternal northern mists. Until the next mystery from Scandinavian lands,